Good morning, ladies. My name is Chaz, and welcome to the custom card reviews. There's a lot, but let's go down, and this is the ancient, not ancient gear golems, not. It's called ancients. So let's begin with and I'll just use their names, like their last names, instead of ancients. The Moon and Sun. It's a quick play spell card. You can select one of these following effects for once per turn. Activate it. Send all cards on the field and from both players' hands to the graveyard. Destroy all cards or destroy all monsters on the field. And half both players' life points. And then, so now, supposed to summon 2 dark or light monsters from from your deck or graveyard or battlefield to your field. That's suitable because this archetype brings out a certain specific monster. Then the third is draw 3 cards from the top of your deck. No one cares. So, if your opponent activates a card effect or declares an attack while this card is in your graveyard or battlefield, quick effect. You can shuffle this card into the deck. Negate it and then shuffle it into the owner's deck. If you do, then both players gain 2,000 life points. And then makes this turn automatically ends. So, this card is pretty broken. It gives you, 4 options. Sorry. Gives you 4 options of clearing your both sides of a field and hand to the graveyard. Destroy all monsters on the field and half of their life points. Or special summon 2, basically dark or light monsters. Depends on, and draw 3 cards from the top of your deck. So basically 2 negative effects and 2 positive effects. That symbolizes the day and night cycle. So basically during the nighttime, usually freaks come out and these just start destroying everything. But during the day, you can, Okay, next card is Ancient, the Pyramid of the, And all these cards are based on, Egyptians. And, ancient history stuff that I learned so far. So all ancient monsters on the field, and they gain 2,000 defense for each of both players' draw phases. So between 2 players or 4, That seems like a lot of defense for. And it has once per turn. During either player's turn, you can pay 200 life points. During this turn only, all monsters that either player normal or spell summons a monster or monsters to the field must be set in face-down defense mode. So, like, Blue-Eyed White Dragon. And I special summon Blue-Eyed White Dragon. Oh wait, this turn, it's face down. It's basically a card. I forget what card it is. It's basically, I'm trying to think. Yeah. So, yeah. Until the end of this turn. Basically, if you activated it on your opponent's turn, during the end of your opponent's turn, all of their face down cannot be used. Unless they have, like, the sun, moon, or not sun. What am I talking about? The book of something or something with a line flips all monsters to face up. So, but this card also has a graveyard effect. If this card is sent to the grave, or banished, you can shuffle this card into the deck and then special summon one ancient, the King of Egypt, monster to your field. We'll get into that a little bit later, but now let's work way up. So we got army soldiers. They're light, level 4, and they're flip effect monsters, and they're warriors. And once they're flipped, you can select one card on the field, shuffle it into the owner's deck. And if this card is sent to the grave or banished, you can shuffle this card and inflict 1,000 damage to your opponent's life points. Basically, you play as the Lord, like the Greek god, not gun, and in this card game. Basically, like how Yugi, or Pharaoh, should I say, you are basically playing as a pharaoh, or Egyptian Khan, basically. And yeah, with her effects, basically, you can inflict 1,000 damage. Is basically like, oh, you destroy my monster? That's super rude. He summoned a tornado to destroy, or to make you pay for damages. And plus I get to draw 2 cards from my top of my deck. So, and you don't take damage. So basically, you can destroy your opponent, or like basically if they had, yeah. So, yeah, you can only use each effects for once per turn. So, and then we got the card that is like not really part of this archetype. It's basically, this card is splashed with other cards, but I'll get into it. Story of the Ancients. It's a quick play spell card. Before the duel starts, you must banish this card to the banish zone. Either player must keep playing until one of their life points reaches 0 points. If your opponent activates a card effect that makes them automatically win the duel, well, this card is in your banish zone. You can pay 100 life points, negate it, and banish it. This card's effects cannot be negated by card effects and can't be chained by card effects. So this card is basically you who are going to go out because you're my opponent. I have this spell card. You have all 4 or all 5 pieces of Exodia that makes you win. Well, I pay 100 life points to negate it and banish all those cards. So basically, because I remember Exodia, like Forbidden Ones, you need a head with all 4 limbs parts. Yeah. Because of the, yeah. So, let's move on. So, this one is a specially designed. So this is the Code Talker. Or not Code Talker. The Talker of the King. It's a dark, level 4, warrior tuner, effect monster. If this card is normal or special summon, you can add 2 ancient cards from your deck or graveyard and add them to your hand. This card can attack your opponent's life points directly. And if this card inflicts damage to your opponent's life points, you can shuffle 1 card from your graveyard or hand into the deck. This card can attack again. If you do, then the damage of this card is doubled. So basically, when you first time you attack, you do its normal one, but the second time it attacks, it doubles it. So basically, it's 600 points of damage to your opponents. If I don't do math around it. And if this card is sent to the grave, you can select 2 cards, like basically 2 cards from your opponent's graveyard or banish zone, shuffle them into the deck. If you do, shuffle this card into the deck, and you take no damage from battles involving this card. And they all have this once per turn. You could use each of their effects for once per turn. It's not a twice per turn. And I misclicked that one. So now we got onto the boss monster. Like basically the one that the spell card searches out, or like special summons. This card cannot be normal summoned. Must be, or wait, hold on, let me read the full effect before. Okay. This card cannot be normal summon or set. This card must be special summoned by shuffling 1 dark monster and 1 light monster from anywhere into your deck, or special summoned by the effects of, you guessed it, the field spell. Once per turn, during either player's turn, you can shuffle 1 card from your hand or graveyard into the deck. Negate all card effects of your opponent's field and their hand. So basically, your opponent is basically a lockdown. You could play a bunch of spells and traps without having to worry about you who activated my trap card. So then this card can attack your opponent's life points directly, and this card, if this card inflicts damage, it loses 100 as a life or attack points and defense points, and makes this card attack again. If it does, then your opponent loses or must send a card from the top of their deck to the graveyard. This card is unaffected by card effects, or by your opponent's card effects, should I say. And this card cannot be destroyed by battle or by this card, yeah. So, yeah, and its effects cannot be negated by card effects and can't be chained, and you can only use this effect for once per turn. So, yeah. So, basically, this card is the Chaos Max, or whatever. Where it's, like, basically it requires to shuffle one dark monster and one light monster, like a Chaos monster. But instead of sending them to, or banishing them, you can shuffle them back into the deck. It has good recycle abilities and some negation. So, yeah. So, let's move on to and I was against this duelist, where I said in the, like, a little community, or in the little chat box thing, I said, what's a king without a throne, or without a chair to sit on? So, yeah. So, if you control the king of the Egypt monster on the field, you can activate this card from your hand or deck to your field. And that's and you can select one monster on the field except the king of Egypt thing. Monster, take control of that selected monster. Basically, I try to use it on the new support card for Ebel archetype. I forget its name. It's a flower thing that I'm trying to remember what it was. And, yeah. Plus, and to your side of the field, and if it is treated as a ancient monster on the field. So basically, if I used it on, and I selected Blue Eyes White Dragon, it comes to my side of the field, and it is now treated as a ancient Blue Eyes White Dragon. And then, yeah. And you can only use this effect for once per turn, and this card's effects cannot be negated by card hex and can't be chained by card hex. Once per turns during your standby phase, you can pay 100 life points, and all monsters or all ancient monsters gain 2,000 then. Yeah. So basically, let's say Blue Eyes was, or became ancient Blue Eyes White Dragon, and you could use this to make it into 5,000 and higher. So, yeah. That's only during the standby phase of yours. So you could basically, each of your standby phases. Like 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Basically your ancient blue eyes white dragon that you stole would have been over 9 million. 9,000. That's what I meant to say. Yeah. So, yeah. So then yeah. So, yeah, basically your monster is pretty powerful at this point. So, yeah. And let's see how much time do I have. 21 minutes. Oh, okay. Let's get this train rolling. So, reason why I made one of them a tuner monster, this one, I believe, yep, is for him to combine with a king to create a phoenix. Flaming Phoenix of the Rebirth. It's a fire level 12 pyro effect pyro synchro effect monster. That's a mouthful. And it requires one tuner monster and one or more non-tuner monsters. Monsters. This card must be synchro summoned. If this card is special summoned, you can pay 100 life points and then destroy all cards on the field except this card to the graveyard. This card attacks your opponent's life points directly. And if this card inflicts damage, and it pays 1,000 life points to, or loses, it meant to say damage. It basically loses attack points. Oh, wait, I know what it was supposed to be. Defense points. Makes this card lose defense points. Makes this card attack again. If it does, your opponent must discard 3 cards from the top of their deck to the graveyard. Once per turn during your next standby phase, after this card was destroyed by card effects or by battle and sent to the grave, you can spell summon this card from your graveyard urn. If you do, destroy all spells and trap cards on the field. You take no damage from this card. So basically, yeah. It's pretty powerful effect. But yeah. I'm just sorry if I'm talking so loud. So the Phoenix is just pretty powerful effect. He's basically a ultimate boss. So when the emperor or the king of the Egypt one summons like a burnt chicken. Sorry. I'm just burnt chicken. I summon burnt chicken. Sorry, I meant, oh, okay. There we go. Sorry. So, I summoned a burnt chicken. Yeah. I killed a chicken. But, yeah. So, basically you know how, like, in history, there's this ancient story that goes around that a phoenix will rise up, and once it dies out, it reforms again and again for thousands of years thing. Yeah. Well, yeah. But now I have Pot of the Ancient. It's a spell card. Once per turn during either player's turn, you can select 3 cards from your deck, add them to your hand. This card cannot be negated by card effects and can't be chained by card effects. If your opponent activates a card effect, or this card is in your graveyard or behind a zone, you can shuffle this card into the deck, negate it, and then banish it. So basically, you can grab whatever you want from it. Like if you wanted like 3 monsters, it doesn't like restrict you on like monster spells or trap cards, like most cards. But this one, you could add pot of greed, or like any cards. It could splash with any deck. With the other monster, the other spell card that your opponent must keep playing, because sometimes there's like cards, or there's some people that would be like, "I'm out, bro," during like the battle. I'm out, log off, boom. Yeah, because I had experience with that, where people always like, "Yo, bro, bye, peace out, y'all." It kind of makes me feel like I did something really wrong. I'm not joking about that part. I felt like, and plus there was this, I'll give you a background, or no, not background, the backstory of why I created this archetype. I try to do a lot better, like, stories, or a lot better making cards. But there's this one duelist that I dueled, and he was, or that person wasn't very nice. And no, it wasn't like the duel logs or the Florentine Yu-Gi-Oh! Oh. Because it wasn't any of them. It was this one guy, I forget his name, or his username, but he ends up doing like, "Oh, you should not get better at, or your cards like suck, and you aren't getting better." Yeah. And yeah. So yeah, if that was you, if you're watching this, the one that I here. Let's go over to here, and because I think it was this guy. No, I think I'm trying to remember if it was this guy or because I remember. Yeah. Yeah, it's this guy. I think it's this one. It's one, or it's... Come on, pause. Okay. So, my opponent was playing the Leather King Ing, and I think it's this guy. Or maybe it wasn't the one that was after. One of them decided to call me the like, yeah, I think I'm gonna, yeah, just don't worry about that. So it was one of these that, like, you suck and you aren't getting better. So if that is you, like, one of those ones, if you're one of those players that talk cred, I'm more of like, I know this is supposed to be custom cards, but I want some, or get something off my chest. As before. So, if that was you, the one that is, or if, because we all have different dueling styles, different card ideas, but that one is just how original. We all like the cards, but I'm really angry because of that yesterday, or the duel. Let's see. Yeah. So, yeah. So yeah. So let's do one more card that I randomly pick. Heck, shall we? I will pick one random card that I made is the this card. Code of the CMD. So, yeah, it's basically, this card allows you to select 2 pendulum monsters from your deck or graveyard or battlefield and add them to your hand. That's it. Basically, because I like these cards because I made them, but my playstyle, the ones that I like to implement in, like, for certain cards, because the dual, or because Yu-Gi-Oh has many varieties of, like, there's skill drains, there's ones that can't be negated or drawn, or, like, yeah, well, yeah. So, yeah. But I chose to do a custom card on this. And my favorite playstyle is to protect my life points from any type of attacks. Basically, or card effects. And negation. Because we always were at that stage of, oh, you can't do anything. Now, oh, all my monsters come in all at once to finish you off, to kill you. Yeah. So I don't want that style of, like, oh, I'm going to come in to make you, like, lose the duel. I'm more of, like, classic duelist. Okay? So, and that person, the one that I'm talking about, they, whoever it was, if I try to remember, but I end up, he or one of them needs to like focuses on more of like how they like to play it, like what gimmicks they do, like, because mine is more of like defense and offense thing, like basically defense against like card effects and monsters to protecting my life points. Because I sometimes have the bad habit of, oh no, my life points are at 500. And my opponent can't even do, or is like, has 800, or no, 8,000, or 7,000. He did a lot of damage to me. But now it's time for me to go down in blaze of glory. Hey. So that's why I created like this deck to basically, it's not, because it breaks my heart when I try my very best to, like, your deck is broken. Well, some cards, or some people, yeah, it's too depressing for me. So, this is going to be the final time I will ever do a custom card reviews. And if you guys, you probably, the Patreons are on like the dual logs is channel. You guys might see me on Twitch typing in the comments instead of making like these types of videos. So yeah. So it kind of breaks my heart when someone says, "Oh, your deck's so overpowered." No, it's not. It's actually my deck isn't. It's balanced, but it's not like super broken compared to like Infinity and Permit thing. Okay, so this is going to be the end of the custom card reviews, and yeah, and let's do, before we go, there's one more card, a reason why I chose this one is to, so to search out 2 pendulum monsters. This one is one of them. And he's a stealer. Basically, his name says it all. Basically, he special summons himself. Or no, he normal summons or special summons. You can select one monster from your opponent's extra deck. Basically, to bring him out, slaps him on your side of field in attack mode, ignoring its summoning conditions. Basically, like, if you want the numbered monsters, I forget their names, or like synchro monsters to breed. Yeah. And that means that they cannot be, once they're gone, they're gone. So it is treated as a CMD monster on the field, and if you do, place this card in your pendulum zone. If this card is sent to the grave, you can shuffle this card in and then add 2 spell cards and trap cards. But its pendulum effect is basically during either player's turns, quick effect, you can then select 1 card from either player's graveyard to be added to your hand. Both players gain 2,000 life points. All spells and trap cards in your spell and trap card zones cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. And they cannot be negated by card effects. So, yeah. So that's one of them. So this one can steal your opponent's precious cards, like pieces. And the other one, this one, is Code of the CMD. It's basically a core. So it's a level 4, level 12, or scales. If your opponent controls 1 or more monsters on the field, they cannot activate any card effects or declare an attack. Okay? Once per turn, during either player's standby phase, you can select, not shuffle, select 1 card from either player's graveyards or bandstones into the owner's deck. Both players draw 5 cards and discard 3. So basically, it's a lot better version of one of the spell cards that is still in the game. Card of something, I don't remember. If this card is normal special, you can select 1 card from your deck or graveyard, add it to your hand, and then if you do, neither player can attack until the end of their next turn. This card's effects cannot be negated by card effects, your opponent's card effects. And if this card is sent into the grave or battle zone, you can pay 100 life points. Place this card into your pendulum zone. You take no damage from battles involving this card. So basically, with both Code Talker with Code of the CMD and the Stealer of it, is basically allows you to bypass anything. Like, I normal summoned the Stealer, and now I take your monster, so let's go for your fusion monster, or synchro monster, or one of those to your deck, or to your hand, And plus, with this card, if your opponent has control 1 or more monsters, they can't attack. No. So basically, you're safe. This is what I mean by you can't activate, or your opponent can't activate card effects or declare an attacks. So your life points are safe, and your monsters are safe with your spells and trap cards. Like, basically a 1 human shield. No, you attacked, or you're going to attack? No, I activate both because you control one or more monsters, so yeah. So, yeah. Basically, if there's certain decks that need certain monsters to be out on the field, you can play that, both cards, and you win the duel. Because it only works on your opponent. So, yeah. It doesn't say either player controls one or more monsters. They seem so your opponent can't. So now it's the time for me to leave and peace out. And the dual logs hung. Your live stream is up. So peace out. See you over there. Peace.